Shall we play a game, music and game connections, and it's a contest. Hello VC, this is Brother Eric, and welcome to the Plastic Soundwave Club. So the other day I was watching YouTube, surprisingly enough, and one of my favorite channels, the Music Man, Rachel, she did a contest entry for B-Side Records, Game On, where 5 games were chosen, and show records that follow a theme that matches those games. And in Rachel's contest entry, she gave me a wonderful shout out, and with that I had to make this video. So I just have a little channel, so this is my thank you and my little squeak out for Rachel's channel. Fantastic channel. I learned a lot on there. She's a huge Beatles fan, which hopefully in this video then she might find some things kind of cool. So yeah, Beth is having a contest. The theme is games, and I like the way she matched up the questions to match the games. As we know on the VC B-Side Records, or Beth from B-Side Records, she's a bit of an enigma, but once in a while she does show up on camera. And as you can see her here in this shot that I have here on the screen. There she is right there. As usual, kicking ass and taking names. And I think I can tell that Beth is not liking self-isolation very much. She is pumping out videos like it's nobody's business. I think we're seeing the first signs of cabin fever on YouTube. But let's go ahead and get on with this contest here. Not waste any more time. So it's going to be Connect 4, Monopoly, Clue, Battleship, and Trivial Pursuit. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. Alright, first one's Connect 4. The question is, show 4 albums that are connected to each other. So the first one is Guns N' Roses, The Spaghetti Incident. A Perfect Circle. The Vandals, Fear of a Punk The Vandals, Fear of a Punk Planet. And Infectious Grooves, Sarsipia Sark. The next game that's highlighted here is Monopoly, and it is show an album that has a lot of value, whether it be sentimental or financial. And I actually have more than one that I got from a lady about this time last year. A friend of my mother's, as we were talking, found out that I was collecting records, and she tells me that she's got some records that she doesn't listen to. They're from when she was a kid. She gave me like a 70s repress of Bob Dylan's original album, some Moody Blues. She gave me some Jethro Tull, or a Jethro Tull album. But she gave me some other records, and I didn't realize it because she gave it to me in a bag. And when I took them home later and then started going through them, I realized what she had given me. So I used to watch this lady's kids when I was in high school, and so I've watched her kids grow up. She's a super nice lady, and what she did was get me albums from when she was a huge Beatles fan. Now, I'm a Beatles fan, and for years I've been basically one of the Beatles fans that likes their more psychedelic stuff, their later stuff, the second half of their career. But after getting these records from her, I realized I really like their older stuff too. I don't think you could call me a super fan, but I really do like the Beatles. I can put them on anytime, and those guys were just brilliant. Nobody can deny how good their songs are. Well, I'm sure somebody can, but who cares? So yeah, so this set of albums, she bought them brand new back when she was a teenager. And all of these are the albums that she liked from them before they got weird. So a great one is, it's an original copy, American version of Revolver, in mono. She took fantastic care of her records. She didn't write her fucking name on them. And so yeah, this is really nice. This is an original LA Capitol pressing of this record. She bought this one when she was 12. And again, it's just such a good album. And for this one here, I believe when I looked it up on Discogs, there were 3 major runs when they were first doing it out of the Los Angeles plant, and this is the 3rd run of the original pressings in 1960. So this is from that run, and I believe it's 1963, 64. If I got it wrong, you know. Beatles 6. This has got a lot of good songs on it. I like Kansas City. 8 Days a Week, of course, because on the back they've got, you know, some other ones that I didn't get here, but still, original pressing, first run, American copy, in phenomenal condition. The Beatles' Help. Again, this is a really interesting record because it's got the hits, but then it's got like instrumentals on it, instrumental versions of the songs that are on here. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of a relaxing record to where you bounce back between the rock and roll and the other kind of version of it. Never seen the movie. Yeah, great gatefold. Once again, in phenomenal. I mean, there's a little bit of wear here. She did play them. This one didn't have the original sleeve, but you can see the Capitol label. Now this one actually does have some value to it. It's worth anywhere between $100 and $200. This is another one very much like the Help album. It's got instrumental versions of bits in the movie and of some of the songs that are played on here. This is clearly the American version. The English version has the blue and has a lot more pictures on it. Again, though, an original pressing. What makes this album extremely interesting to me, that I don't know if you get on the Blue album, United Artists had done the movie, so they got to put out this album, and so it's one of those rare ones where it's on United Artists and not on Capitol or their English label or on Apple Records. And finally, are you going to help? And so finally, this was another one that she gave me. So a lot of people know this album here. This is, at the time, the only album that the Beatles didn't make any money on because, as you might very well know, sorry, this is a sticker on the top, and underneath this is another picture. This is known as the Butcher album, or Yesterday and Today. Necessarily bore you with the whole retelling of the story, but this sticker was laid over another picture, and if you have a version of this album, it's considered quite valuable. I know the second stage Butcher cover because it's hard to see totally, but right here in the original picture is Ringo's V-neck. So again, an original pressing that she bought when she was a kid. So all of these records have only had one other owner besides me. Now, when I did find out that this record was in the batch that she gave me, I did let her know right away I could probably sell this for a decent amount of money. I'm not going to sell it, but if she wanted to find a way to sell it and make money off of it, even though she gave it to me, I felt I should let her know that she basically gave me a nice wad of cash here. And she was just like, as long as you enjoy the records and listen to them, you can just have them. She didn't make me say, don't sell them, but she would prefer that I didn't sell them, and I don't want to turn around and make a profit off of somebody like that, especially, an old friend. But yeah, this album has a lot of sentimental value to it, and it has apparently a lot of financial. It's in beautiful shape. It was played. She probably didn't have the greatest record player, but it does not skip. You get a little sibilance on some of the S's, especially when they shout. But other than that, it sounds fantastic. It's the mono version, not the stereo version, so it's not the most valuable. Plus, it has the sticker on it, so that's also not the most value. But still, I think I could probably get like $500 to $700 for this if I was selling it. There was another question on another contest about is there an album that you would never sell? And for me, that's this album here. This is the pride of my collection, really. For being so small, I almost feel undeserved because, again, I'm not a Beatles super fan. I love reading about their history. Maybe I fall into like semi-super fan. But I love learning about these guys and listening to their music. I think their music is wonderful. I'm still more slanted towards their later work, but this stuff is actually great. It actually has, I think, this has my favorite Beatles song on it, What Goes On. You might be going, wow, that's kind of a stupid song. But one of the things I do like about the Beatles is no matter what song you hear from them, you can tell it's the Beatles. And out of all of their songs, the one that they do that sounds the least like the Beatles is this song right here. Um, this is the mono version, which is good, but I also have an 80s version of Revolver on CD, and it has the stereo version of this on there. And I love that song. The way they do the stereo, the straight stereo, where Ringo's on one side, the backup vocals are on another side. It just sounds like they're in the room when you hear that song. So to me, that's one of the most different sounding Beatles songs out there, because it doesn't sound so much like the Beatles, especially since Ringo sings on that one. But that's enough about that. The next game that Beth brought up was Clue. And in Clue, you're trying to figure out a murder. So, anything. I try to keep it to music, but it's a song about murder. In fact, I've got 5 songs about murder. New Order Substance. On disc 2 here, with all the B-sides, has a song called Murder. It's a very interesting song. It's very, very aggressive. But one of the things I think is neat about it is it has a sample in it from Caligula. And at the very end, it has a sample of Hal at the end of 2001. My mind is going, there is no question about it. And you just hear him do his little speech at the end of that movie. The next one is from The Clash. And the song is Somebody Got Murdered. For as kind of morbid as that subject matter is, it's a really light kind of song. It's one of their I've always thought one of their weaker tracks. I don't know, like they're not taking it all too seriously, but maybe that's the brilliance of the song I'm not catching. Okay, an album I've just shown recently, but Renegade Soundwave, Sound Clash on here. They have a song called Murder Music. I really like the song. I think, Beth, you would like that song, because it's kind of a slasher movie song. The unusual part about this song is at the beginning, it has a sample of the last speech given by Jim Jones. And it's a very, very dark song. The lyrics are like, hey, I like those eyes, I'd like to pluck them out. That's my surprise. I know, it's amazing. Not one lesson. And we got The Police, Murder by Numbers. It's definitely one of the very last songs that they did. That's another great song that starts off with one weird rhythm and then it warps up into almost, it feels like a different song at the beginning, when it just has the drums. But yeah, a great song from them. Another kind of, almost, it sounds more tongue-in-cheek when you listen to it. Sting does a good job of saying god-awful lyrics in a very special, like you don't quite catch what he's saying way. And the last one is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Murder of the Universe, which is probably the ultimate murder. If you could murder the whole universe, and I think it would pretty much look like that too. This is one of those albums from King Gizzard that a lot of people don't like. It has a lot of spoken word on it. It's very kind of herky-jerky. But it does come on. It's one of my prettiest colored vinyl records. I believe it's called Vomit Splatter. So the next one is Battleship. And to tell you the truth, this was the toughest one I had to work on. Something with a boat or a ship in it. Now, I do have Badfinger, Wish You Were Here, which has a picture of sailors on it. But that's not really a ship or a thing. But I did finally find one. So to give context to this, back in the 20s or 30s, Orson Welles did a radio show that put the world in panic, or at least some parts of the East Coast, when he did his radio version of War of the Worlds. I believe in the 50s they did a version of War of the Worlds in a movie, and then in the 2000s there was a remake done by Steven Spielberg, and Tom Cruise was in it, Dakota Fanning. Those are the basic names that I can think of. But it was remade in a more modern style. But between the 1950 movie and the 2000 movie, there was a disco version of War of the Worlds. This is Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. And the cover has this ship being melted by the tripod there, and actually got a bonus sail ship, which I would think he'd be more, that'd be an easy kill right there. I think he'd take out that guy first and then take out this guy, but I don't know. This is an album I love from when I was a kid. It scared the shit out of me. Of course, it's funny because I listen to it now, and I get a very different vibe from it. Definitely a product of its time. But it's still great to listen to once in a while. I love it still. The rest of my family thinks it's really stupid. They won't know it as War of the Worlds. They'll know it as, that's that weird album that Dad falls asleep to on Saturday afternoons. The final game that Beth brought up was Trivial Pursuit. So you have to come up with a trivia question, and the first person that answers it, you let Beth know, and they get an extra entry into the drawing. So I know some people made this easy. I'm not going to make it easy. If you want me to give you a free extra entry into the thing, you're going to have to earn it. So I'm sure you kind of already figured it out. Those first 4 albums in the Connect 4. What do those bands have in common? And for a bonus question, one of those is different than, one of the 4 is different than the others, and it's not vinyl. One's vinyl and the other 3 are CDs. But if you get the bonus one, I'll be totally impressed. So yeah, what do those 4 bands have in common? So again, thank you to Beth for doing this contest. Thank you for Music Man for shouting me out. And with that, go forth in peace.